Hi, welcome to Glazing with AMACO. I'm Kara, and today I'm bringing you some of my favorite unexpected CRAWLS results. Last year we came out with our CRAWLS glazes, and the more that we have tested them and played with them, the more interesting things we found we could do with them. So I'm going to show you my favorites. You've seen how the CRAWLS can be used over bare clay or a velvet to create a bead effect, or you can use them over celadons to get sort of a crackle, different color effect. And both of those are really great. But as I said, the more we tested, the more we found some really interesting things could be done with the CRAWLS. This combo is the black CRAWL CR1 over PC63 Cosmic Tea Dust. I call this dragon scales because it is both sparkly and glittery and a black on black sort of effect that would be beautiful for sculpture or anything dragon themed. This is 2 coats of PC63 Cosmic Tea Dust and 2 coats of CR1 Black CRAWL, then fired to cone 6, and it's on a white clay, so you can see how it's very dark and very opaque. It is a fun and interesting effect. The next combo is the speckled white CRAWL over Fire and Ice, one of our newer PC glazes. With Snowfire, I applied 2 coats of Fire and Ice inside and out and 2 coats of CR12 white speckle just from the top rim to here. So you can see how the Fire and Ice dragged the speckled white down. So be aware, it can pull and it can move. So Fire and Ice is blue where it's thin and a dark copper red where it's thick. And then when we put the white speckled CRAWL over it, it gets this beautiful fluid, almost runny sort of effect as the Fire and Ice drags it down. I love how it looks like white flames. Really fun. Next up, I have Cosmic Forest. And this is a combination using the speckled flux CRAWL over Cosmic Oil Spot. 2 coats of Cosmic Oil Spot inside and out, and then 2 coats of CR18 speckled flux CRAWL over the outside. It is a very runny combination. It did flow off of the cup, so be really careful that you don't take it too far down. So Cosmic Oil Spot has this dark speckle and slightly greenish effect, and then we layered the CR18 speckled flux CRAWL over the top of it. And look at that, the blues, the greens, the darker colors. Cosmic Forest, what an interesting combination. The next combination I call Turquoise Jewelry. It reminds me of copper and turquoise jewelry put together. This combination combines the metallic surface of ancient copper and the beautiful bright turquoise color of speckled teal CRAWL. So I used 2 coats of ancient copper on the outside of this cup and then covered it with 2 coats of CR22 speckled teal CRAWL and then fired it to cone 6. It gives such a beautiful effect. You can see the sparkle of ancient copper and it contrasts so beautifully with the teal CRAWL. Next combination is called Chili Pepper, and it is hot. This combination uses 2 coats of PC64 Aventurine and then 2 coats of CR58 Red over the top. So we get this sparkly red, runny combination, really wild. I love how the two of these go together. Be aware that aventurine is a very, very runny glaze, so you want to make sure that you are careful with applying it. I used 2 coats of aventurine and then 2 coats of red, but all of this vertical texture slows down the flow of aventurine. You can see how it still moves. Really fun, gorgeous combination. The next combination is one that makes me think of butterflies in summer. Sunflower Summer is 2 coats of CR61 speckled yellow crawl over 2 coats of PC22 bluestone and then fired to cone 6. It makes this beautiful combination of green, satiny green and blue with the yellow speckles, almost like flowers and butterflies in the summer. So it makes me think of spring flowers and open fields. The next combination is doing things really differently than what you've seen before. Instead of just doing my glazing and putting it in the kiln in one firing, what I did here was a little different. Check out this mug. I call this MCM Diner for mid-century modern. It reminds me of Formica in a 50s diner. And I love the combination of the pink with the speckles and this seafoam color. What I did is I applied 2 coats of CR51 speckled pink crawl and fired it to cone 5 without any other glaze. Once it came out of the kiln, the pink was crawled. So then I applied 2 to 3 coats of SM24 seafoam and gently wiped it back so that it exposed the pink. Then I fired it again to cone 5, and you can see how they melt together without creating the crackle effect that you would normally see of applying a crawl over another glaze. So we have this sort of beaded effect that reminds me of Formica. This is the same technique done with this bowl using lime crawl fired on and then applying the dark blue satin matte and firing it again. The satin matte was lightly sponged off of the top of the crawls before firing, and you can see how they melt together to make this kind of fun blobby look. Last but not least by any means, this technique uses CR chips to make a really interesting effect. So I applied 3 coats of Celadon Snow to this cup. Between the second and third coats, I had some dry CR chips that I laid on the table, just some different colors that I thought would go well with this, and then applied my third snow coat. And while that third coat was still wet, I rolled it in the chips and pressed some of those chips onto the sides, creating this sort of confetti look with the CRs. Now you can create CR chips either by breaking up some dried bits or by brushing a few coats on a paper towel and crushing them up, but I just keep them in a jar so that I can use them later. Great way to use up dry glaze chips. Here's another version. This one was done with similar glaze chip colors, but on obsidian instead of snow. Thank you for joining me on my glazing adventures. It's been so great to share these with you. If you try any of these combinations, we would love to see them, or any other combinations that you might try with the new crawls. You can share them with me by using hashtag #HowIAMACO on social media, or you can drop them in the comments. We appreciate it so much. If you have questions, just comment and I will answer them as best as I can. Thanks again. Happy glazing.